Hi guys, I am Marielle. I am here with lovely Steph, who's going to be helping me with today's tutorial, which is handstands. I'm really excited. We've done headstand, forearm stand, transitions into tripod. So I think it's time that we maybe start talking a little bit about handstand. And Steph has been working on her handstand for some time. So we'll break down the basics and then play with a few kind of transitions and things that you can do to build your handstand. Also, some of the previous videos have shown you core exercises to help improve it. And definitely the foundations of shoulder stabilization with what we did in our headstand, forearm stand. So, breaking down the handstand. One of the things that I think takes a bit of time to truly understand is that your fingers are incredibly important when you're coming into handstand. They're going to act as brakes. So a lot of times, until you really start to get the feel for being upside down, you won't notice it, but you will be using your fingers in the palms of your hands when you're upside down to keep you there. So you'll sometimes notice, at least with me, when I first came into my handstand, it was my feet. My feet were acting as brakes. They kind of go like up and down. And now that I can hold my handstand, I spend a lot of time rocking kind of between my fingers and the palms of my hand. Grips can be different. So a lot of people will tell you that you really want to ground through the knuckles. A lot of times the ones that we forget are the index and the thumb knuckles. They want to lift up. If that happens, I know people who can handstand like that. I think again, it's just making sure that you've got a very strong grip in the fingertips and that the palms are down. Second thing is, same thing, forearms drawing in towards one another. So as the forearms draw into one another, you get a bit of that external rotation, you're firing up the shoulder muscles. Coming into your handstand, so if you want to take a nice forward fold, so come to standing, and just come into a forward fold, place your hands on the ground. So obviously, if you're not quite as flexible, you keep a bend in the knees. Putting the hands down, so again, totally optional. I think it's a bit of practice, whether some people tend to actually shift their hands outwards a little bit. Usually on average having about the index or middle finger pointing forward. Drawing the forearms towards one another. She hyperextends, so keeping a gentle bend in those elbows but pushing the ground away. Now, a big part of your handstand is that you're protracting those shoulder blades. So when you come into, for example, your plank working on chaturanga, a teacher tells you to dome the upper back. You are separating the shoulder blades here. As you do so, you're going to hollow the front body. So you're drawing the navel in, the ribs together. All right, I'm going to bring you to the middle here. So come forward a little bit. So that's the lower foundation of your handstand. You're planting your hands, you're pushing the ground away, you're doming the upper back. Now, with the navel tucked in, you're going to lift one leg up. So which leg are we going to lift? Okay, so that's a good one. So this is your standing leg, the one that's down here. You're going to keep a gentle bend in that one. The closer that you can get your hips to stack over your shoulders, the less momentum you need to hop up. But let's see where we go. So bending that standing can come up. All right, try one more. Yes, much better. So did you see that she was able to lift up a little bit more when her hips stacked over her shoulders? Now what you want to do is squeeze the inner thighs, point the toes, get as much of a flat line as possible. So draw the navel in, push the ground away, slight bend of your elbows because I know you hyperextend and then come out. That's it. How did that feel?
Very good.
Yeah? Okay, good.
Very good.
So that second hop up was great because the second that your hips kind of stacked over, you were able to pull the other leg up. So again, the most important things as you're coming up, and obviously I'm here to catch her when she's coming up. For those of you that are working against a wall, a few things that I would suggest is try going into it so that you're flat against the wall, not just handstanding to the wall, because what happens is you banana. So one of the hardest things when you're learning how to handstand is that you're coming into the pose and your legs are kind of like here. It's really bad to then learn how to find that nice straight handstand. People balance in it for sure, but it's not the right, you can get it, you can totally get into it, but it makes it a lot harder. So because I am here with you, we're going to try something else. I need you to trust me.
I do.
So instead of having you kick up, I want you to plant your hands, find that foundation again. I'm going to lift your back leg. The way I'm going to lift it is I want you to push your leg down as I lift up. What it's going to do is it's going to lift you up, and I want you to plug your hips into place. So kind of coming into an L shape. Yeah. So you're going to lift one leg up. Cool? Yes. So plant your hands. Again, find that nice foundation, doming the upper back. Yeah, pushing the ground away. Lift this leg. Now, pull it down. So keep pulling down, and lift up. So keep pulling it down. Push your hips back. I'm here. All right. So when you're coming into your handstand, lovely, you want to have an anterior pelvic tilt, same as with headstand, and with your headstand and tripod. So come out of it. Lovely. So hold for a moment. So what I want you to see there is essentially what happens with the hips. So as I was lifting that leg up, I am pushing her hips into place. So you're kind of stacking the hips over. A lot of times when you're hopping into your handstand, it's a lot less so. If you were hopping, doing the bunny hops, you want to have a bit of that anterior tilt and then lifting up. More than anything in this one, we're just trying to plug that femur into place so that you're stacking your hips over your shoulders, over your hands. It's another way to practice coming into handstand without using sheer momentum. Do you want to try that one more time? Yeah. So plant the hands. You're going to push down into my hand as much as possible. And then you're going to start to stack your hips over your shoulder before you lift that leg fully, okay? So push down, push down. Now I'm going to push your hips back, stick the bum out, and then reach up. Yes, that's it. So don't go too far back. So bring that leg forward, keep pointing the toes. You've got a nice L shape. And then lower back down. Lovely. Yeah. Does it give you a bit of that sensation of plugging the, So it's it's a different way to come into your handstands, to kind of understand what that feeling is like when your hips stack. Because a lot of times with the momentum, you spend so much time kicking that you don't really know what it feels like. You know, it's just kind of sheer momentum and you get there and you're like, yes. But again, with the wall, another option, and we'll show some of these, we'll cut to it. But I'm going to show you a few options of how to come into your handstand if you are going to be using a wall. Because you want to come into it the right way. Once again, not kicking facing the wall. You actually want to turn around and either flatten out, or I'll show you the next one. But for now, that is the basis, the sort of like very fast breakdown of a handstand, making sure from the hands all the way up to the feet, you're grounding through the knuckles, really gripping with those fingertips, drawing the forearms together, external rotation of the shoulders, protraction at the same time. So I know it sounds a bit weird, but you're pushing the ground away for this one. Drawing the navel in, keeping that core nice and strong, squeezing the inner thighs together. As you engage the glutes, push the toes away, so you're finding that length at the same time as you're pushing into your mat. Stay tuned because I will show you in a little bit your wall exercises. Okay, so we're back, different angle, closer to the wall. So these are the ways that I would suggest coming into your handstand if you want to be using wall space, you don't have someone to spot you, to kind of make sure that you're coming into that nice, flat, long, straight spine alignment. So with the handstand, what I'm going to have you do is face it. So we'll leave a hard one for last. So you're going to plant your hands. Give yourself a bit of space. So a lot of times people, when they come into handstand against the wall, they're so scared, and it's totally normal. I think fear is something that we all deal with when we're coming into inversions. It doesn't go away. I mean, you learn to kind of deal with it, but a lot of people want to come so close to the wall that by the time you kick off, you're propelling back. So give yourself a bit of space, especially for this one, and you'll see why. So plant your hands and just kick up. As a banana do your thing, come up against the wall. Lovely. Okay, so as you can see, when you come against the wall, this is what happens. You banana the back. Now try to round the upper back. I want you to bend one knee, point your toes, and now lift this leg. If you're coming into your handstand, this is where I want you to practice, not with your feet against the wall. And then you can play with maybe pushing off a little bit, coming onto the toes of that foot. And then, you know, if you don't have to come all the way up, you can just hover that foot. So bend the knee. You're probably so tired. Toes, so lift the heel, and just play with just little, finding your balance, and then come down. All right. So again, the reason being we want to avoid bananaing as much as possible. So when you bend one knee, you're able to lift the other leg and then really focus on those motions, drawing the navel in, protracting the shoulder, etc., etc. Now, do you want me to demo this one?
I think so.
Okay, so for people that have the shoulder strength, it is really scary when I did it for the first time, more than anything because you want to be sure that you can come out of it. But again, if you feel like you've got the strength, you really want to be working on getting that right alignment. Maybe you can even handstand already. You're going to come up against the wall, facing away from it, fold down, lift your legs up the wall, and then you're going to walk your hands back. You want to try, hopefully I don't break anything, you want to try and flatten yourself out against the wall as much as you can, but really engage everything. So I'm drawing the navel in, I'm squeezing my inner thighs, I'm pushing the toes, pushing the ground away, finding a little bit more lift, and then when I feel like I'm tired, I'm going to walk out. Ooh. Blood rush to the head.
Yeah. Every time.
So it is scary, especially if you don't really know how to come out of it. So again, being mindful of that as you come in, maybe ask someone to spot you for the first time. Also, you don't have to come flat against the wall. So do you want to try it without coming flat? Okay. So come into it. So planting your hands where it feels comfortable. Lovely. And walk back a little bit. Now, even if she was to stay here, check the difference in her alignment. So there's less bananaing, draw the navel in, so don't take this out too much. So go back, there. Push the ground away. Careful with these elbows. I know that they're, and then come out of it. So even, yeah. So at least that way, if you can't move your hands, you know that you can draw your knees and gently find your way out. So those are definitely the two options that I would suggest if you're learning to handstand against a wall, trying either one of those, and we will continue with more tips in another video. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, let me know. Keep me posted on your progress. Thanks.